am grinning ear to ear because our guest today is Natalie Hummel, and I just feel energized the moment I see her face. So I'm so excited for this conversation. We're going to talk about your roadmap to better performance via a stronger mental game. And that's a big umbrella. And Natalie's such an expert in this topic and just always helps me and listeners kind of take a new perspective and understand that it seems complicated, but it's not really so complicated and it's so powerful. So, Natalie, I hope you can help me feel like it's simple again today. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Wow, I'm so excited.
So, let's start high level. Mindfulness work, nervous system work, something else. How would you define the work that you do?
Yeah, it changes all the time of how I would describe what I do. I think that I help people become the best versions of themselves and who they know that they're capable of being through mindset work, through nervous system work, through somatic work. But I was talking about this with someone on my team yesterday. I mean, regulation is like the byproduct. And it's almost like the least of the power of like the most powerful thing that happens. Regulation, of course, is amazing and it's changed my life. And I'm so grateful that I'm regulated and that I can regulate. But I don't write that on like my year-end review, like, oh, I'm so much calmer in traffic. I'm have so much more patience with with my team members. I don't write that. But what I do notice is that every single day I am more of who I know that I'm capable of being. And just the nervous system work is the vehicle that got me there. And what I notice is like, oh, I'm capable of making more money. I'm capable of helping more people. I'm capable of staying composed under pressure. I'm less offended. I'm less irritated. I'm less embarrassable. But there's things that come mile markers that we're way more proud of than like, oh, I'm regulated. Like, who cares?
Interesting. So, when you unlock those new capabilities, is that because you have tools to go to when you want to kind of up level, or is it because you've done work that is now kind of ingrained in your subconscious?
Both. I've updated my default network for sure. That's changed my subconscious. It changes those familiar thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And I've created a new set level of how much joy, how much excitement, how much love I can hold in my life. Also, how much hardship and all of that that I can hold in my life. I've definitely created a new set point. But if you're a person of high performance or if you're a person on the path to self actualization, that new level doesn't last very long. You know, you're only at that level for 6 months or maybe even less. It seems like I'm there, I'm updating every month. But then you have the tools to be able to update at any level that you're going or at.
So, it's a continuous process, is part of what I'm hearing. I'm curious, does the work are there going to be tears in doing this work? Does it require that you are looking at those feelings and beliefs that you have pushed down, down, down in order to really become a next level version of yourself and continue doing so? Will this look a little bit like therapy?
Tears not required. Maybe will happen. Yeah, maybe will happen. There's definitely suppressed things that are keeping you back for sure. But there's also just ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving that you think are reality. Like you have to feel this way, you have to think this way, you have to behave this way, that are really just your conditioning. And so I think it's a bit like therapy, but I'll tell you where it's different than therapy. I think therapy does a really good job of validating our feelings and validating why we feel the way we do. And there's a reason for that. And as much as I think that that's a part of it, it's like a pit stop. I don't get stuck at validating your feelings, and in fact, it's just a pit stop on the road to full responsibility. And so as much as validation kind of gives us this hit, I find that a lot of personal development work and a lot of therapy almost are that that's the final destination, and almost we get addicted to understanding ourselves and understanding why we are the way we are. Ultimately, I think it's useful to a certain extent, but the most useful thing that you can develop is it is this way. Now, how am I responsible for it? And what are my choices in changing it? That's ultimately where we want to go. That's the most powerful place to be. I say in my groups, I say to my clients, I say to everyone that I'm talking to or working with, there are no victims here. Like, find another level of capacity, find another level of compassion, find another level, but you're not you maybe have been victimized, that's true, but it would be a choice to stay a victim at this point. So, and my work gives you that choice point of like, okay, yeah, I don't want to stay in that. I want to have my power. I want to take on more responsibility. I want to be more of who and what I am instead of wallow in what I didn't get.
Mhm. Okay, one more question to help people understand how you're approaching this work or kind of what perspective you're approaching it from. Is there a principle or person or theory that really inspired your work? Like it was something that you could say this either really worked for me or this makes sense to me and this is what I want to run with.
There wasn't I think why it's so hard to explain my work is because there wasn't one influence, there wasn't one person, there isn't one arrival point. It was like little breadcrumbs along the way that I liked, but I wanted to go deeper, and I liked, but I didn't wanna end there. That was useful, but wasn't the full picture. There's definitely I feel like my work is an entire ecosystem, but it was made from sums of different parts. One of the main things I think is attachment theory. And then which made me say, okay, attachment theory, but why is that so real? Well, because we have nervous systems and we're social creatures that have to have connection for safety. And then from there, there's different pieces of performance psychology and self-actualization and meditation or somatic work. There's definitely like different parts of the whole that I feel all merge together because now into what I call self mastery, which now I'm saying self mastery is three things. It's nervous system mastery. So being able to understand what state you are and be able to shift your state, which produces 90 to 95% of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And then there's ego mastery, which is the part of you that developed when you weren't getting that safe and reliable co-regulation that outsources its safety for love, approval, and validation. And so your ego is always constantly manipulating or defending, trying to get that love, approval, validation. And many of us, even if we just pause there, like, wow, what percentage of my day is made up trying to get love, approval, validation? So you can't have ego mastery without nervous system. So it goes nervous system mastery, ego mastery, and then lastly, then we need emotional mastery, which emotional mastery says when an emotion comes up, I don't just believe the story that comes up with the emotion. So let me break that down. So you're in cross country warm up, you're about to head to the start box, and then all of the sudden you are flooded with sensation that then your brain labels fear. And then from a past event says, uh-oh, you're going to fail. You shouldn't do this. So emotional mastery would be you get that flood of sensation, but your brain doesn't label it fear. And then it doesn't give you the very common story of you're going to fail. You're not good enough. You shouldn't be doing this. Just you get sensation. You see it as energy helping you. You know how to regulate it. You know how to create capacity for it. And actually, it can make you more focused and more aware and more present. And so all those three things together, the nervous system mastery, the ego mastery, and the emotional mastery come into what I'm calling self mastery. And self mastery is a prerequisite to performance mastery.
Oh, I love how you have broken that down. It sounds like you're really helping people work with their body versus so often, like, when you talk about that fear coming up, it's like everything starts to work against each other and get worse instead of having an ability to be with it and let it work for you even, like you said.
Let it work for you. Yeah. It's working with the body, it's working with the mind, the ego, the emotions. It's the totality of it so that you're not held back. Because what if we don't do this work, we're held back from whatever has happened to us in the past. And so we'll only be able to really recreate the past in different variations. So it's really being able to work with that entire thing that creates the pattern of the past into the pattern of the future and gives you an opportunity to be more um, in alignment with your potential than your past. Because a lot of us, our past, I didn't have a lot of control over my past, and a lot of people didn't. And especially if a lot of your trauma happened or a lot of the patterning happened in your childhood, which it did, we didn't have a lot of control over it. So now we're just living out of that. And then we kind of get into this victim mindset, or then we start blaming the world and our parents, and we weren't as lucky as so and so, and blah, blah, blah. Well, no, you're not really a victim to your past. You haven't chosen to become self masterful yet. And once you can make that choice to become self masterful, you'll be more committed to your potential than serving this pattern of your past.
This it is so important. It's such important work for humans, and I know you work primarily with riders and you really can do this work through their lens because you have lived that life and you understand what those fears and anxieties are, and not having been in a rider's shoes, it's really hard to relate and to be there with them. Um, Talk to me about, because it does sound like whole person work. Talk to me about how it relates to riding.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take, I used to have a hard time answering this question because I was like, oh, I used to, it's like this whole other thing that then you try to, translate into performance. And then when people were only really calling me like a performance coach, I'm like, well, that's not really it either, because your entire life is going to change. But let's take let's take show jumping on the last day in first place. That's really the moment we're all kind of working for, right? But how many of us would trust ourselves with that? How many of us would be like, I'm ready for that? We want, with the result of that, we want to win the event. We want to, you know, actualize, and we want to perform to our best ability. But how many of us would really bet on us going into the Rolex Arena on Sunday and first? Not a lot
You're
of
real
people.
I you're really striking a chord because my, like, epitome of my riding career was young riders. Like, I felt like I was working for that forever, and I went into stadium in first, and I was like, I how is this possible? I don't even deserve to be amongst these other riders, let alone in first. And I had such a capable horse who show jumped well, and I took down 8 rails. I knew I I knew it wasn't meant for me going in, and I felt so much relief going through the finish because I was just like, "Oh, okay, that's what now I can be back to, like, who I really am," you know? And that, like,
Mhm.
I think about that when I talk to you a lot because I am, like, such a believer in the mind being a main player in our performance, and that for me was like, I didn't let myself have that. I didn't believe that I deserved that, or, I still would say I don't believe I deserved that, even though I know I could have jumped. I had 2 rails in hand. I know I could have easily, gotten
You
through it with
have
2
this
rails.
skill to
Right.
jump a two rail round,
Yeah.
but your default network said, I don't deserve this.
Mhm. It
Oh
was
man, I
yeah.
I want to
So
coach you, but
continue. I know.
I won't put you on the spot on that one. But so many of us have had a story like that or can imagine being in that position and being like, yeah, I wouldn't bet on me. and what my work does is solves that problem where you would bet on you. You would trust yourself under that amount of pressure, on any amount of pressure, in any hot seat. And so, how nervous system work would go into that would be that you would know when when you're shifting states, you would know how to be resourced enough to hold that much energy. You would know your normal pattern under pressure, so it wouldn't be a guessing game. You would know all of that. It would be like knowing what your sleep patterns. It would just be like, I know exactly what I do, and I know exactly what I would need to do for my nervous system to be ready for that moment. And then we would do ego mastery, which is, I don't deserve it, some story around I didn't become who I wasn't meant to become. People like me don't win young riders. Like, there's so many other better people. Or I'm so embarrassed to even be like seen right now. Or I'm irritated because the jump, like my jump warm up didn't go as well. Or I'm offended because somebody looked at me the wrong way or said, "How are you here?" Your ego's running amok under the biggest moment of your life. And it's just monkey minding and you have no control over it. So the program would take my work would take care of that. And then that flood of emotion, instead of going into the whole story that the ego would give you of, I don't deserve that, blah blah blah, you would be like, nope, this is just energy. I know how to process it. And then you could go in to that show jumping ring with your mind completely coherent with your body, and completely coherent with your nervous system, feeling safe in that moment. So you could have had a peak performance moment where you went in and had a complete flow state and had the best round of your life under that amount of pressure, if you had all three of those masteries in line. But we don't. And we think that then we go like I don't know what you left with, but I hear you felt relief because you thought that that result was a match of who you were. And so this work is who, not necessarily getting so focused on results, results will come, but who do I need to become in order for that result to match who I am? And that's what the work is. You become the person that wins.
That was a great summary. And I think we can all think of either amateurs or professionals in our mind who have like taken in that belief, and you can tell from an outsider's perspective too. And it just looks calm and confident. And of course they've done the preparation in the saddle in the gym, but this they've done this preparation too. And I think that just thinking of like my entire experience in the horse world, it used to be do the work in the saddle, and then it was do the work in the saddle and in the gym. And this, you are really helping bring light to this component that is so impactful in performance and experience that has been kind of just under not understudied, but, like, underutilized and given a back burner spot or not given the attention that it deserves considering the power that it has. So I'm really glad that a lot more riders are leaning in. I know you work with riders like Boyd, and that has to help people get buy-in because he's someone you can certainly look to and be like, "Yeah, he's got he's got it under control."
He That guy is such a champion through and through. And anytime he gives me a lot of credit, I'm flattered. But that guy is a champion. That guy is, I tell all my other clients, I'm like, the way he runs his life, the way he runs his program, the way he runs his brand in this sport, is the train is set to world number 1. And it would be harder for him to not get that than to get it. Like, his day, his every hour. I mean, the way his barn runs, the way the coaches come, whether he's there or not. I mean, the way his program is set up is, it is aimed and locked into world number 1. And it would take more effort on an hourly basis to say, no, I don't want to, than to just hop on the train and get on it. And he has just such a huge capacity, and he true for focus, for presence, for showing up. And It's remarkable. It's remarkable. Like, he is a true champion, and I think all of the success and hopefully much more success that he has over the next few decades of his career, he deserves all of it and more. He is the walking embodiment of what it is to dedicate yourself and to self-actualize through a pressure. He's done it. It's amazing.
It's interesting because this work certainly isn't equestrian specific. You hear of athletes in every sport and even people in other realms of life, like whether that's a business person or an
Mhm.
artist, really having this be an unlock for them. And Boyd is the son of two Olympic athletes in different sports. And I think that has to have had an influence on him, seeing how people at the most elite level of what they're doing operate and be able to take that into how he operates his own life and works toward his own goals.
1000%. And what's so cool about that too is you don't have to be now there's so many resources and there's so many people like myself who've dedicated their lives to like what makes a champion and learned the pattern. And so as much as like we wish, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I wish that I was born to two Olympic parents, but I wasn't, and that's not my story. But I also have the presupposition that life is friendly and that it's totally working for us, and that we just have to have the love, wisdom, and courage to see it that way. And if I would add one more, the safety to see it that way. And so, anybody that wants what Boyd has cultivated and what life has definitely supported him in having, you can create, but you need to make that choice.
I have a few quotes that are on my wall just to make sure I'm in the right mindset day to day, and
Mhm.
one of them is life isn't happening to you, it's happening for
Happening
you.
for you.
And it
Yes.
really is a nice shift. Okay, I've been seeing a lot of Instagram reels that say, "I'm an," and then insert profession here, and here's what I would tell you if I wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings. What would you tell people about this work if you weren't afraid to hurt their feelings? Sorry to
You're
put you
not a
into the spot.
victim. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. You're not a victim to your parents. You're not a victim to your trauma. You're not a victim to your finances. You're not a victim to your circumstances. You are a creator, and everything in your life right now, as it stands, if you're an adult, does not stand for a 15-year-old or an 8-year-old. But if anyone, let's say 20 and older, every single thing in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, you are 100% responsible for. And that can crush you, or it can fulfill you. It can fill you with so much responsibility and power that you know that you are the creator. Life is happening for you. Everything in your life, every conversation, every argument is happening because your consciousness is a match for that.
How does this relate to manifestation? Because it sounds I'm reading an Abraham Hicks book right now. For those of you who don't know, probably most people don't know, Abraham Hicks isn't even a real person, but he like wrote this book through somebody else, and it is very woo woo, but it also works, I think. And being a little bit not delusional, but that's what people say. Like being a little delulu can really work in your favor. It does manifestation have a place here, or is that kind of a very I don't know. Is that something that you don't totally subscribe to?
I think manifestation is incredible. It's kind of like validation and like we were talking about that full loop. Manifestation is incredible and it's definitely a part of reality. It's saying that your consciousness is pulling in everything. So if you're working under the assumptions of manifestation, when you have an argument, you're not going to blame that other person and get in this like that person's such a blah 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 and let your ego run amok. You're going to say, okay, if I'm creating my reality, what is that argument? What did I bring? What's mine? What about me called that in? So love and manifestation also says you can create what you want if you believe it. I do believe that's true. And I also think that from my path, I took a pit stop at manifestation. And then and I don't know how much this is gonna be interesting for other people, but I really learned that I am a small part of the whole here. So my small wants and desires are just that. They're small wants and desires. And really, I'm a part of a much bigger ecosystem that I don't have the full bird's eye view. And so I don't actually get into the business of like, oh, I want that so badly. I trust that life will show me where I'm meant to serve, and I trust myself to go and serve there 100% in integrity. And if I don't, that's my work, but I'm out of like manifesting the house and manifesting the car because those are my small egos, wants, and desires. But I am here to serve and to live a purpose and to be a part of this bigger ecosystem. And so when I feel something that like my ego doesn't like, I don't double down and be like, okay, let me get into the field and the vibration and be more powerful than the universe. I'm like, okay, maybe my ego doesn't want to go and serve this or have this conversation here, but life does. And I'm going to trust that, and I'm going to trust that if I go and give my full integrity to that, only good can come back to me, but I'm not in control of how that good comes back to me. And nor do I want to be anymore. Where I used to very much want to be, and I was a very powerful manifester. But now I don't spend energy that way. I spend more energy in like, where am I supposed to serve? What am I supposed to do?
I love that. Yeah, so there are parallels, but I really like how you've integrated it and what you've kind of left behind about that approach. Okay, we talked about Boyd, but when you think about an amateur who's getting it very right in this realm, you don't need to name the person, or you can, but describe them. Why are they the person you think of? Because I think the people listening want to be them and might not know what that looks like. So maybe talk about like when that person was at the beginning of their journey too.
Oh my gosh, my okay, well, I'll give you two examples because I know you asked for an amateur, but I'm thinking of a young rider that I'm obsessed with and love so much. And we've worked together for a couple of years now. And when she came, she was where I think a lot of young writers are. They're very talented and they've had a lot of success. And then it starts to get a little crunchy, starts to get a little hard. And she was so much of her worth, so much of her identity was in just this like her trajectory was just this very steep slope, and then it was starting to kind of, like I said, get hard. And I watched her just totally work with her ego, create a new identity, create somebody that was more in love with the process than the results. And she went from like terrified to even make a mistake in a lesson, just because of what that would mean about her. And if people were watching, and then she wouldn't be the perfect one anymore, to someone that is just so curious about each one of her horses, doing the best for each one of them. She's gotten into like so deep into their nutrition, so deep into their fitness. She's taken so much responsibility on in such a short amount of time. Like, she walks her own courses. Of course, she gets her coach's opinion, but like she's like, I'm walking it. I'm forming an opinion. She boldly makes mistakes. She takes full responsibility for every single outcome. She is like, so I have chills talking about her. Like, she's so devoted to the process. Any area where she just like doesn't feel like an expert yet, it doesn't like make her back off. She's like, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna research this. And she finds someone to support her in that. And she's always trying to do not necessarily what looks the best, but is what is right. Like, at one point she was getting so much pressure to move up from teams and from coaches and from all these people. And she was like, that's not what's best for me. That's not what's best for me and my horses. Of course, I could move up, but I could still learn more at this level. And everyone, like everyone in her sphere was telling her to move up, and she didn't, and she stayed another year, and she learned so much, and she's like a true horse person. She's a true whole person. She has so much inner authority. She has so much responsibility and so much humility about her that she would not have gained if she didn't choose to gain that.
I love this girl. The
Me
ultimate
too.
creator of her own life, the ultimate not victim, and setting herself up with a foundation that will serve her versus how do I do well at the next show and make people like me and be proud of me.
Yes. I have so much chills. And our biggest joke is like, good thing this isn't your Olympics. I say that to her every time. Like when I'm like, her coach is like sad about some time. I'm like, good thing this isn't your Olympics.
Right.
By the time you get to the Olympics, I can guarantee she will. And I can guarantee you by the time she is there, she would bet on herself to have a performance of a lifetime, to have her horse happy and healthy. I know she will.
And you get to be like, "This is your Olympics," and you are so ready.
And you are
You have
so
yeah,
ready.
I love
You
that.
have done it. You have
Mhm.
became who you needed to become. And she is so young. And she like once she learned the difference between I got this example from a book, but like you're not just after one little lollipop at a time. Like you're after the whole candy store. You're after who you're becoming in the process. She now is like, okay, this show is asking me to become more focused in cross country. Like she's got it. And once she saw it, she's just way more oriented to who she is meant to become versus these small lollipops of oh, like the team will be there and I want Leslie to see me this way. No, she doesn't even think like that. She's like, this is what this show is needed for myself and my horses. And she executes.
And that has to make her, like, magnetic to people like Leslie because you can just sense it when somebody has that sort of, like, authority over their decisions and they're making it out of the right place, even if others are saying, like, "Move up, move up, move up." She's really, like, harnessing her power. That is very cool. Will you list off some things that it took to get there? Like, was it dismantling of beliefs or, like, just to get people to understand kind of like if and when they embark on this work, what are kind of the things that they're going to get into to get from point A to point B? And then I know it's to C to D to E, like it's a continuous, you're not done.
Mhm. Well, one of the biggest things she when we outsource our safety to love, approval, and validation, she was getting a lot of attention from very young. So she didn't get a lot of connection through friendship because they were all kind of jealous of her, kind of projecting onto her. So she didn't get a lot of connection, which we all need through pure relationship. She got a lot of connection from being the best, from coaches, supporters, other coaches, parents, officials being like, this kid is the best. So you can see when she got to that crunchy part, how just on a biological level, that would feel so scary. Like, okay, people don't like me because I am, gifted and all of these things. And now I'm not even being the best. So how am I going to get my safety? And that wasn't a conscious thought. That was a felt sense of like anytime she made a mistake, just like shut down, like complete shutdown. So that was the first thing we had to do is like, you get connection from you being you. When you were 8 years old and those mean girls at the barn decided to not be friends with you because you were jealous, like that says more about them than you. And now we have to go back to that little 8-year-old, make her have context, make her have choice, make her see what was truly happening in those moments. It wasn't just like people don't like her, she's unlovable. It was just a moment in time. And then so that was first, and updating that misunderstanding of like people don't like me, people are jealous of me, people don't want to be with me. That misunderstanding no longer exists. And then now we have to help her nervous system when she's making a mistake not get her safety from being perfect. We had to build safety through like you're allowed to make mistakes. It's how you handle the mistakes. It's how you show up after. It's the leadership over reaction. And that's not a mental thing. That's like a felt sense thing. So that's like feeling the contraction, of when she makes a mistake and sitting in there building capacity. So when that contraction hit, it doesn't fully take over. It's just like a little ping. And then we repattern her brain that when she makes a mistake, not to just shut down, shrivel, believe the misunderstandings. Okay, when you make a mistake, what's next? What do you do? How do you want to show up in those moments? And that's different in every moment. So it's like really personal. But for her, it was like, okay, I want to get curious. I want to like not shut down. I want to ask my coach what they mean. So we like just repattern her brain to not like just weather the storm, but like engage in those conversations. And also, people, because she was so good, people assumed she knew more than she did. So when she would ask questions, they would dismiss her a lot. And she had to really stay in the game. Like, I know you think I know this, but I don't. Like, can you make it more simple? And eventually, and that actually took a while for her coaches to take her seriously. And eventually they made it more basic and less scary. And then she understood. But that took repatterning her brain of staying in the game when they were dismissing her. And it took creating safety in a biological felt sense way around making mistakes and updating that. That's the by being perfect is the only way she got approval and safety.
That helps me understand a lot about kind of what the process looked like. Do you think that we should similarly describe an amateur? Otherwise, if it's a little bit, you know, too similar to what we just spoke about, I have a different angle that we can talk about an amateur
Hmm.
from. Should we do that?
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're recording this at the end of the year and goal setting is on people's minds. A lot of people will be setting their goals for the coming year. If you had an amateur who is committed in all the ways, they're not all the ways, in a lot of the ways. They're showing up, they're finding opportunities to learn, they're taking care of their own physical fitness and nutrition and just trying to get the whole system in their favor and they're ready to step into this work. What goal would you set for them for 2026?
Well, I think I would start with actually like a 2025 review. And I would have them look at I would have them list every single failure. And if you were working with me, we would do them personally and in your sport. But just for the simplicity of this, like just list out every single failure you've had this year. Um, whether that's like you fell off at this event or you had to stop here, you had a CR at this event, like just list them out. What are all your failures? You shut down in this lesson, whatever. Okay. And then
That
I
sounds
want,
fun.
yeah, yeah. Well, this work, what's also true is like people can get overwhelmed by this work because, like, okay, I'm supposed to be the best version of me, but like, where do I even start? So just live in reality and under the presupposition that life is happening for you. Those things that happen to you aren't random, they're because of you. So if you look at that fall, why did you fall? What is the lesson that 2025 was trying to teach you? It's like, okay, if I really look at that, I was outside my capacity. Why was I outside my capacity? Because I was underprepared. Because actually, my daughter got sick. My husband had to go for a work trip. So there was 3 weeks where I actually wasn't practicing to the level that I needed to, and I wasn't prepared. So by the time I got there, I was outside of my capacity. I knew I wasn't prepared. I couldn't stay focused. So that's teaching you, don't be so attached to going to that show at a certain level. Like, if you live in reality, what would you have to do with that? Oh, okay, I would have to work with the stories of my ego. What does that mean? Oh, I'm slipping back. Well, question those thoughts. Is that true? And is that actually going and failing at this event, really, was that in your best interest? Or would have rerouting or going down a level and a practice being so focused during that level that then when you moved back up, your mental game was spot on. Like, every single thing is teaching you something. So I want you to list your failures and then list what 2025 was trying to teach me. Oh, 2025 was trying to teach me, don't be so attached to some arbitrary goal. Like the major goal of mine was to do a 3 long. Okay. When is not your business. When you do the 3 long is not your business. That's your business, being so clear on the 3 long. If it happens this spring, if it happens this fall, if it happens next spring, you have to be willing to live in reality. So maybe 2025 was teaching you, okay, I need to hold that vision, but I need to live in reality, because actually the pattern that I just did got me further. I'm nowhere near the 3 long. And in fact, I created all these baggage along the way by not living in reality. So that's why this year in review is actually more important than almost the goal settings, because if you don't learn the lesson of 2025, life is friendly. It's going to reteach you, and it's going to teach you louder in 2026. So look at your past year. I want you to look at your failures. I want you to look at the lessons. And then I want you to pick out, what support would I need to ensure that I don't repeat these lessons? Okay, actually, the support I need is, I only cross country school 5 times this year. That's not enough. So I'm going to get my support by making sure my coach takes me cross country this many times. Okay, my mental game, I couldn't even stay focused in a conversation. I need to work on that. And then you pick the support. So you're living in reality. You're not just picking some abstract goals and things to work on. You've looked at reality, and it gave you your curriculum of exactly what to work for in 2026, and now set goals that uphold who you need to become. So set your goals not to like win a 3-star long, but to do 6 cross country schools, like to work on your mental game. And that 3-star long will happen inevitably if you become who you're meant to be.
I love that. I love that life's going to teach you and it's going to teach you louder. I was like, "No, please. I heard you the first time."
Well, you
Um,
have to you have to actually hear it. I mean, I
right.
did this myself, and I'm like, I got you 2025. In 2026, I will not learn this lesson. I've got it.
I love that. That's a really cool way, it's a really cool thing to try to figure out for yourself what that lesson was last year or whatever the time frame was. For some of us, it was last year and the year before and the year before, and it just
In
takes
2
a little bit
decades.
of reflection. Yeah. Okay. If everyone listening is like me, they're saying, "Okay, I really need Natalie to help me with this," because it's not one size fits all. I'm sure there are similarities in the work, but it's not one size fits all. You are really good at identifying like the specific misunderstandings people have, or just kind of like even what you just described. What is, what is the lesson? It might take someone, I don't know, they might key in on the wrong thing, or just your guidance would be so helpful. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, what that could look like at the end. That that also is a big commitment for people. So I want to talk about two things. One, if somebody isn't able to work with you, what do you recommend that they do? Like, is there a book? Is there something that can help them take steps in the right direction? Because my second question is, there's probably a lot of noise in this space that just isn't worth the time and effort and isn't going to help you move forward. So I'm putting that all in front of you to address.
Yeah. I would say I have 2 things. If you I'm gonna give you a process, okay? There is no one book, sadly, that I could recommend. I need to write it. I need to write the book. So then there is one book, because I would have to
Seriously.
recommend you 10 books to get like this type of work. And then, yeah, you're going to be wasting a lot of your time on things that don't really work and things that aren't a bang for your buck. So, this is, and I used to have such a hard time answering this question in the past, because I didn't really want to lie and say, this is the one thing, you know? And also, I didn't know where to point people, because I'm like, I mean, this is a lifetime of reading the books and taking the courses, and so I was always like, oh, I don't know how to answer this question, but I've thought about it for a very long time, and I do have one thing that you can do, and it's better than any book out there, and it's better than any meditation, but you have to be disciplined enough to do it. So I want you to start this simple night routine. And what that looks like is you review your day from start to finish. Just like watching it like a movie, okay? And at first, when you first start this, you could do this exercise with the whole day. But I want you to look at like where were you the most out of integrity? Like, was it during a hard conversation? Was it when your coach told you to go do something, but they weren't really listening to you and you just kind of did it anyway? Was it when you made a mistake in a lesson and you completely shut down? Or when a barn bully came up to you and you just allowed them to do it? Like where was that in your day? Or was it when you ate something that you told yourself, like, you will not eat it? And then 12 o'clock hits and you're already eating it? Like just pick one. Okay. Start with just one a day of where you were out of integrity because you could stay up all night doing this. Just pick one moment. Let's start with like I don't know, the coach says something to you and it was a little rude, but you just kind of shut down and did it. Okay. I want you to see that moment in your mind's eye, visualize it. And your brain is really good at this. It'll create that image like that. So just visualize, see that moment happening in your mind's eye. An emotion is going to come up. You're going to feel that like, oh, that helpless, that powerless, that like shameful feeling. And I just want you to take a few seconds. You don't have to stay here long, but just acknowledge where that feeling is. Like, is it in your throat? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? It's going to be very uncomfortable. Your mind is not going to want you to feel this feeling. It is very hard to do this. It's very simple, but it's very hard. And you're going to just set a timer for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Feel the feeling as best you can. It might not go away. That's okay. Now, from there, I want you to visualize the moment where you could have chose something different, and I want you to see yourself doing something different. So your trainers maybe getting all loud and like, you always do this. I'm like, no, I need you to zip your mouth and listen to me. And that's your moment where you're like, no, I'm going to choose something differently. And you say whatever it is, like, no, I need to tell you something. Or maybe it's just that you walk out of the arena and you bring it up later. Or maybe it's that I don't know how you would lead yourself, whatever is authentic for you in that moment. See yourself doing it because your brain does not know the difference between real life and visualizing. So if you can see yourself doing it at that moment where that happens, you're more likely to be able to do it in real life. And so many things have just happened in that moment. You've updated your nervous system, you've updated the default, and you've made the new response slightly more familiar, which is what has to happen for you to be able to actually do that in real life. And if you did this 365 days a night or a night, you would be a completely different person by the end of the year because your brain is also always helping you. Like, when you want to buy a car, what does your brain do? It notices all those cars, right? So when you're living your day, it's going to be like, don't let this be the moment that we have to stay up for an hour thinking about this. It's like, come on, act. Come on, do it. And your brain starts looking for those moments where you're out of integrity. And you start with like 10, 100 moments of out of integrity. The more you do this process, you're like, oh, that was slightly out of integrity. I guess I could visualize that. Like, yeah, I guess I wish I would have like said this. But then you start really becoming this type of person that you rely on, you trust, you respect because you're doing the work. You're doing all of the work that we're building. Now, that sounds very simple, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I could do it.
Very hard. Your brain's gonna be like, "Oh, but what's for dinner? Oh, shouldn't I be on Instagram? Oh my gosh, like I could just be watching Netflix. Oh, you could be journaling. Maybe you should be reading. Oh, I definitely don't feel that feeling. Oh my gosh, you're such a horrible person. You did this again." No, it's like it's such a discipline, but this is why I've thought about this for a long time. What is the one thing? because also you're training your attention. You're training your attention to do one thing at a time. You're slowing down time in a world where we are so distracted by everything and we don't have to deal with ourselves. And in a second, we could have lived our worst day, but in a second, we could be in a different world on Instagram or with food or with shopping or with whatever it is. And we don't actually have to feel the pain of how hard it is to live out of integrity. This is a hard thing to do. But if you can commit to doing it, this, I promise you, this would change your life.
We just got so much value, you guys. Thank you, Natalie.
Yay.
That is incredible, and I just appreciate so much that you put the thought into that and that you gave us that gift and guidance. I have a couple more questions for you on this topic, and then we have 2 exciting announcements. Okay. What personality types does this come more naturally to, and what personality types struggle?
Okay. Back to if I'm being honest,
Yep.
the personality type that really wants to feel like a victim. That really wants to be like, "No, no, no, you don't." It's so hard for me to sit down at night because I have the baby and I have the husband and my dog is allergic to being alive, and it's
Yep.
like, are you more committed to the person you say you wanna be, or are you more committed to your excuses? And everyone has excuses. Everybody could come up with them. It is hard to be great. It is not easy to be a great person at anything. If you want to be great, you're going to have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's not comfortable to sit with yourself and feel how you were out of integrity that day. And it would be way more easier to be like, I was out of integrity because I didn't get enough sleep and my prescription isn't right. And, my mom didn't come to my soccer. And all of that is real. But at some point, you have to decide that none of that is going to get in the way of who you're meant to be,
So good.
which is why we have these applications for my academy.
Mhm.
And I think people think we don't read them. We do. And there are people we don't accept because I'm like, this won't affect you because you actually just want to be heard and how hard your life is. And therapy is way cheaper than I am. So
Mm.
go there. If you
Yeah.
just want someone to hear how hard you've had it, which I understand, trust me, I have tons of trauma. I had a very hard childhood. I understand it, but it did feel good to be validated. I remember that stage, but you have to know that's only a stage.
Mhm.
You're responsible now. And it actually feels so much better to love your life and love what life has given you than to be ungrateful and sad and stuck.
Beautiful. And my next question on that is, what advice do you have for someone who really wants to take this on, whether it's next year or starting today, whether it's with you or with that practice you suggested?
Yeah, I would keep it top of mind. This is where, like, podcasts, and we have so many, and there are great podcasts like out there of people talking about the work, doing the work. Um, just keeping this top of mind because to change, we are creatures of homeostasis. So if you are around average people, like, and there's no judgment to that. I saw a reel the other day. It was like, it's okay to be average. And I was like, yeah, as long as that's in your integrity. If whatever you're doing, if that's in your integrity, there is no judgment. But if you are wanting to be better than you are today, that's very hard. And we are creatures of homeostasis. We are looking for comfort. We are looking to stay the same. So if you surround yourself with people that are, complaining about their husband and their moms and they're drinking too much and they're eating too much and they're not, you will assimilate. So you have to keep this work top of mind to make progress. So I would say if you can't be in a community or a program like mine or someone else's, you're going to have to create that for yourself where this type of work, this type of thing becomes normal. And the podcast you listen, the book you read, the audiobooks you read, all of it needs to be in a service of your best self. So I would start there. One other thing that I just to prove that like our consciousness creates reality. I was just on a trip with people and we were looking like they were like, "Oh, Instagram's so bad." And they were like, "This is such a bad place," and all this stuff. I was like, "Let's look at my explore page." And like
Yeah.
my explore page is all about athletes, possibility, like athletes winning, people making these amazing speeches. It's about energy. I have all this stuff about horses healing us. Like I'm looking at their explore page. It's like Real Housewives fighting. It's uh like cooking classes, making cookies. It's like people eating things. I'm like, you are curating your reality. Whatever you give your attention to, you're going to see back into the world. So, like, just be so disciplined with your attention. Where don't spend a second on cheap dopamine. Don't do it because it's not going to help you. So, get audiobooks to listen to while you're driving, like get podcast, find people like the right IQ community, like find people that are just trying to get yes, 1% better a day, but maybe even 1% better a year. Like just they're just on the path to curating, creating, loving life. That's addictive.
It's so funny you mentioned the explore page. I was just thinking the other day, that is like the most personal thing you could look at for someone. It tells you everything so fast. If someone, I mean, it's like really, really telling. And I love that comparison that you made. Like, what are you curating in your life? Not only literally on your social media explore page, but like that is the power that you have. I really like that.
That is the
Um,
power you have. And you don't have to be involved in drama. You don't have
mm,
to be involved in all of the things that are affecting our sport, all of the things that we're talking about in the barn. You could just go and be in your horse's stall and be petting this amazing animal that just wants to connect with you. Like,
totally.
you don't have to be involved in anything that's holding you back or pulling you down.
You just tap into so many things that I want to be. That's another I always go back to you don't have to slay the dragon, you can walk around it, like, a lot of the time.
I've
It's
never
like,
heard that before.
it's nice permission, like, I actually don't have to deal with this at all.
I've
And
never
that's what you're
heard that
saying.
before. That is so good. I have a
Yeah,
perfect example of this. My mom loves the drama. My mom is drama, 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 drama. She's like trying to get me and my brother, she's hilarious.
right.
She's got a personality. And today she's like talking drama about my brother. And I just acted like she wasn't talking. Like I didn't take it in and I
Right.
also didn't respond. And within 2 sentences she goes, "Anyway."
Yes.
But I didn't
And
even say like, "Mom, I'm not talking about this." Sorry, I
totally.
just trolled. I didn't say anything. I just was like it was almost like it wasn't even on purpose. It was almost just like I'm so like allergic to it. I'm just like kind of like, "Oh, like whatever." She goes, "Well, we don't need to be talking about this." I was
I
like
love that so much.
I was so proud of her, but I also
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, I don't even have to like correct her."
right. It doesn't have to be a thing. It's not a thing in your universe.
No.
That's really nice. And I find that, like, in that specific instance, the more you can be like that, the less people bring it to you because they're like, "She's not gonna indulge me in this."
Exactly.
I might try every now and then, but that's not my girl for that.
Yeah.
Okay, Natalie, we have 2 really big announcements. Like, both are so exciting. Let's start with the announcement about your program and how that's gonna look different this year and what it is, and how I'm going to fi find the money to be part of what you're doing because, I mean, every time I talk to you, I'm just like, "I have to do it." So, I'm just
You
such a
have
believer.
to do it. We're doing
Just
it.
tell us about it.
We're committed. Yeah, I am so excited about this. I'm so proud of the evolution of it. And it's just really for anyone that is noticing that gap, the gap between what they know they can do and how they're currently showing up. And I used to live in that gap. And so I've built a program, I've dedicated my life to help people not live in that gap. And I know that most people are coming to me because they actually just want to ride better. Like they are coming to me because they want to podium finish at that 3 long or AECs or whatever that is. And I'm so aware of that. And so I used to have 2 separate programs, How to Heal and How to Perform, and I've rewritten them all and I've changed them into 1 year-long program because in order to have that podium finish, in order to be the person that goes into Sunday morning and first and can trust himself, you have to have self mastery. So I created this program, Limitless Academy, where the first part of it is self mastery. And then we go into performance mastery. And we're together that entire time. So I can take you from start to finish. And it really is a year-long program where which sounds like a year long, but that's how long it takes to repattern. You've been living out of these patterns for decades, your entire life. This is the honest truth of what that is, and it'll fly by like that, especially because you're going to be progressing the whole time. You're going to be in a community with all of these other athletes that are doing the same thing as you, just trying to fill that gap of where they are and their potential. And there is something beyond me that happens in the community. Like, just it's beyond me. It's beyond anything when people, and I'm sure you experience this in Ride IQ, like it just takes on a life of its own and people almost like that more than than what we deliver. But it's just an incredible thing if you really want to fill that gap and trust yourself and become the type of person that you can trust and respect under any pressure, whether that's financial pressure, whether that's social media pressure coming at you, or the pressure of being in first on show jumping day, whatever pressure, you want to be able to trust yourself and rely on yourself.
Hot diggity dog, you guys. That is so freaking exciting. And it will be a life changing year for the people who participate. So, our applications, is January 20th day one and applications are open now?
Applications are open now. Day one is we have like an onboarding call the last of January. The first official day is February 2nd, I believe. So you have to just be in and enrolled before January 29th.
Got it. Okay. And where can people find more info and the application?
Application is at nataliehummelcoaching.com on the Limitless Academy tab.
Mhm.
And you'll find an application there. You can also, once you fill out the application, the team will reach out if you need to talk to someone, if you need to learn more, if there's all of those different supports available. But uh, it's it's just amazing. I'm so proud of these programs and I'm so excited to be putting them into one. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to go on the journey with people.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. And I say it on a lot of these things, but especially this, if anybody applies or especially if you start participating, please let us vicariously live through you and tell us about it. We would love to just cheer you on and be excited for you. So let us know, anyone who kind of is curious or really takes the plunge. That would be very fun. Okay, the second big announcement. We we have a number of podcasts at Ride IQ, of course. We have the In Stride podcast, we have the Ask an Expert podcast, we've done conversations with coaches, we've done Dickie Wade Good did a 4-part series that was incredible. And we've done this other little podcast series called the Mastermind podcast, hosted by Natalie herself. And while all of these podcasts are so special, Mastermind has had 2 seasons, and both times it's like totally takes me aback how much it strikes a chord with people. Each one of the 2 seasons that have existed have been a 4-part series. And Natalie, I'll throw it to you to describe what Mastermind is and to give us the announcement on what's next for Mastermind.
I mean, mastermind in the truest sense of the word is when masters of whatever genre come together and look at their roadblocks, look at themselves, mirror to each other, and help grow the consciousness of whatever that is. And there's all these statistics on it. Like, the woman from Spanx was in a mastermind. Like most millionaires and
It's
billionaires
amazing.
she's have been a part of a mastermind because just like I was describing before, being great at anything is so hard. And there's things that come up on that path to greatness that only people on that path could understand. And we are all on that path in this horse world. Like, we're all trying to do better for ourselves, for our horses, for the sport. And so it's such a cool idea to bring masters of this sport together and let them mastermind on the things that get in the way and hold them back. And of course, since I'm hosting it, we mostly talk about the mental side of what holds people back. And we get to hear these four people, masters, talk about that for them.
And our first season was top riders in eventing. Our second season was for top riders in dressage. And this third season throws it back to eventing. And it really is so just it like fills all the buckets to hear these people that we all look up to and that, you know, really have just had such incredible accomplishments. Hear what they struggle with, what they go through, how they overcome that. And then what you said about the magic of community, how they support each other and how they interpret each other and then they share even though they've been I mean colleagues in a sense forever, they've never shared like, "Oh, this is what I think of you." And they start becoming each other's just like support systems. It's amazing. So, we have a pretty incredible group of riders this year. Natalie, tell us who the 4 riders are who are going to be in Mastermind season 3.
I can't imagine being on the other side of like, who is it? Who is it?
I
And
know.
these people, you guys are incredible. I can't think of a better like cast or better group of people. Okay. And I love and adore all of them. Here they are: Will Coleman, Tick Maynard, Michael Pollard, and Philip Dunn.
Oh my god. I, of course, already
Insane.
knew, but if even just hearing all those names, I'm like, "Darn, that's a quite the cast." So, episode 1 of season 3 comes out January 19th. So that's right around the corner. You can get excited now. Also, if you want to revisit or visit for the first time, which in which case I'd be quite jealous, you can go into the InStride podcast feed wherever you like to listen to podcasts and search Mastermind and you'll see all 8 of those episodes there. And then Natalie's incredible season 3 will start coming out weekly as of January 19th.
Can I brag on these people just really quick?
Yes, please.
Michael, for those that don't know, was my last coach that I had and has been this insane influence in my life. One of the biggest influences in my life has been Michael because he holds a standard of greatness and he has been one of the biggest expanders in my life of like, okay, if you say you want something, you do it and you don't hold back and you hold it with certainty and you go after it. And then Tick Maynard, I couldn't love or adore anymore. Like, just heart, 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 heart. He is, I've been lucky enough to like work with him a little bit and just be in his life a bit. And he is one of the most thoughtful, present, just whatever, wherever Tick is, you want to be because he's going to bring a level of consciousness and beauty and truth and integrity that only Tick can bring, and lightheartedness and humility, like, just chills thinking about Tick. I've had some of my most interesting conversations with Tick Maynard. And then
Not to interrupt you, but thinking of Tick, when you describe that young rider and how she's just so truly herself, I think of Tick, and Tick was a Road to the Horse winner 2 years in a row, which what an unbelievable accomplishment in addition to being a top rider in the sport of eventing. So that will be really interesting to hear from him and see if he's kind of harnessed it and is teaching the others or, you know, what he still has to learn and what he gains from this. And then similarly, interesting, which I hadn't really put this together yet, but Michael just won the Mongol Derby. You have and has been a top rider in the sport of eventing. So these people have been so successful outside of the sport of eventing too.
yes, and that level of greatness and that level of perspective then to bring back to our sport to two of the people who are carrying the torch of our sport. I mean, Philip Dutton is a complete legend. He remarkably is getting better and better. I respect him so much. I haven't had a lot of personal interactions with him, but the one I have, I remember forever. I was walking a course with one of my clients. Everyone was creating all this drama over this combination at Kentucky, and he looks at her and he says, "This is a going 3. In order to make this distance work, you need to come in going to this." And then just kept walking. And I was like, ego mastery right there. No drama. What do we need to do? What's the execution? What's the plan? And I think he's going to surprise everyone because I don't think a lot of us have heard Phil talk. Incredible, eloquent, thoughtful, a master. We are so lucky.
After your first recording, which is the only one that's been recorded yet, you and I recapped after the call. We both just looked at each other and then we both went, Philip?
Phil.
Like, whoa! Amazing. Incredible to get to know him better. And it was a bit unexpected.
Unexpected, so unexpected. He's adorable and he's so thoughtful and eloquent. And I feel so lucky that we get to be in this proximity to such an icon and such a person of greatness. And then, of course, we have Will Coleman, who is the future of our sport. I mean, there is not, I can think of maybe one other rider as talented as Will Coleman. I mean, Will Coleman is elegance, beauty, I mean, and also performance. He has honed his cross country riding. He is becoming unbeatable in his just precision, his accuracy, his elegance, and I can see Will Coleman bringing this American eventing to the top and becoming a threat to the world with Will Coleman and having him here and bringing that level of excellence and just somebody who I really do see carrying our sport into world champions and winning a lot of 5 stars in his future. So what a combination.
Totally. And he's a very funny guy, and all four of them have such just unique and uniquely themselves characteristics and personalities that it is a fun group to listen in on. And last season, just to address that they're all male, last season we did all female, and this season we're like chatting about who the perfect cast would be. And this isn't, I mean, you can tell there's not a B team or alternate on this. We chose these four. We're like, it'd be fun to listen to all males this time. And these four, out of some miracle, I think it's the reputation and relationships you've built, all said yes. We're
Oh
like,
my
all
god.
right, let's go. So
It's amazing and to see them all interact and all of them are especially Tick, Michael and Will are great friends and they bring that to the podcast. It's incredible. I can't wait for what a treat.
I know. I can't wait for people to hear it. I can't wait for the next recordings. If you're listening to this now and you're like, I don't want to miss it, go to the InStride podcast feed and hit follow so you get notifications when new episodes are added to that feed. Then you certainly won't miss it. But yes, that's coming up January 19th. And I'm just very excited for it. I'm so excited about the program that you have coming in this next year, starting in February as well. So just lots of good things on the horizon, Natalie.
So many good things. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be a part of the horse world and help people and just push the sport forward. It's amazing. And thank you guys so much for all that you do for the horse world and the athletes inside of it and the people inside of it. It's amazing.
All we do is find people like you, which is just a gift. And we're all grateful that you're part of the horse world too. That's
Just right.
true. Don't look
Oh,
at me like that. Well, Natalie, I've taken up more time than I said I would, but this has been so, so helpful. And as always, I learned a lot. I feel really energized and happy and capable. And just thank you for the life of work that you've done so that you can share it with us.
aw, thank you. It's a privilege to share it and have it received.
And thank you to everyone who's listening. We will see you next week. Bye, you guys.